Okay, this lecture is going to be about loops. We're going to cover do until loops, do while loops, for loops, and for each loops. And what we'll do is we're going to show how each of these works. The first one I want to do is look at a do until loop. I have on screen a do until math quiz. And the syntax of the do until loop is to start off with the word do, which means you're going to do something, and then you do anything that's within the curly brackets. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to ask the user using the read host commandlet, what is 7 plus 5 times 11? And then we're going to place it into the variable a. Well, in order to do this mathematical operation correctly, we have to multiply 5 times 11, which is 55, and add 7 to it, which would, the result should be 62. And so we'll continue to do this until the variable a contains the number 62, and it'll just keep looping around forever until the person gets the right answer. Kind of a nice little quiz that you can give your kids so they know the order of operations. So I'll go ahead and run it, and it says what is 7 plus 5 times 11? Let's say 64. And it keeps asking me. I go 87, I go 99, and finally when I go 62, it goes bingo, and it's done. Okay, not very elegant, but you can throw code in there to tell somebody they got the right answer. I'm going to show you that in a little bit with a different type of loop, with the do while loop, but the principle will apply to this one too. The next one I want to show you is called a do until continent quiz, and it says do. And what we're going to do is, it's a similar kind of script. We're going to ask the user which continent Aconcagua is located in. Well, it happens to be located in South America, along the border between Chile and Argentina. So we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll run this, and we'll it wants me to save it. Which continent? I'll say Asia. It'll keep asking me. I'll go EUROPE. Nope, doesn't like that one either. I'll go ANT, ARCTICA. Doesn't like that. And of course we go SOUTHAMERICA like that, and it's done. Okay, so what I would like to do is I would like to make this script just a little bit more interesting. Okay, so I've got some code I already typed out, so you don't have to watch me type it. And I'm going to copy this and put it in here. And then I'm going to make it a little more readable. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to ask them that if the answer isn't South America or doesn't equal South America, I'm going to say wrong answer, try again. Otherwise, if it does equal South America, I'll say you got it. So let's run it again. I'll go and says, ask me if I want to save it, and I'll say which continent, ASIA, and it says wrong answer, try again, EUROPE, and wrong answer, try again. We'll try SOUTHAMERICA, and you got it. So you can nest these if statements inside of loops to kind of give feedback to your users. Great, pretty cool. Again, what the do loop did was everything between this curly brace and this curly brace. Okay, just as you can see here, this if question here, if the answer not equal, it does the stuff between here, writes the host. Otherwise, it does this piece between these two curly braces. So essentially we have this if statement, if else statement hooked in between the do until statement. So you can use that to do that. Okay, so let's look at a do while loop. Okay, very simple do while loop. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a variable called $i. I'm going to assign it the number 1, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I, and I'm going to take the existing value of I, which is 1 from line 1. I'm going to add 1, and then I'm going to place it back in I. So I'm basically incrementing I one at a time every time this loop goes through, and then I'm echoing out the result of I, and it will keep going until I is less than or equal to 100. So what we should see is a series of numbers starting at 1 and progressing all the way through that. So let me run that, and notice what it did. It went to 101, not 100. You've got to be careful with these loops and test them. So if you expect it to go to 100, what happened is it went here at 99. It went 99 plus 1, which made that 100. And then we said less than or equal to, and it punched 101 in there on the next loop. So if we wanted to restrict it to 100, all we do is less than 100. Let's run it again. Yes, we want to run it, and there we go to 100. So be careful with that. That's a basic do while loop. So I've got a real interesting script I found out on the net, or it's based on one I found out on the net, and it's a do while loop that looks at to see if a process is running. If the process is running, it just idles along, but as soon as the process either freezes or in our case shuts down, it'll record something in a log file. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I say do, and basically what I'm doing is I'm saying do nothing, and then I'll do this while, and I'll go out, I'll get the process Firefox, pipe it, and I'll find the property of responding. What that means is as long as Firefox is responding, the loop will do nothing, and it will continue between lines 2 and 3, going over and over and over again over. As soon as Firefox is not responding, either do a program freeze or hang, or because I shut it down, it will go to line 5. Line 5 will place the date in a variable called string time, and then we'll spit out a message and it'll say Firefox failed to respond on the spring time, and then we'll take that and punch it out to a file that we can use as a log in line 7. So we take the results out file, place it in there, and append it to the end of it. Let me show you what it looks. Let me go and pull that file up for you now. Notepad firefox.txt, like that, and I've already run it a few times, so we've got this log of times that Firefox failed to respond. I'm going to go and go Control A, knock everything out of it, and go File, Save. Just for your information, it doesn't need to exist before you run this. When you run it and you say append, it will create the file and drop that into the first line, and that's probably the quickest way to do it. So let's go ahead and let's start Firefox over here. There she is, and when I run this, watch, it'll just sit there and run. Okay, I've got Firefox running over here on my other screen. I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. So I'll put it out here, and notice down here that the red light's on. She's still running. As soon as I kill Firefox, it should stop and write an entry into my log. And now notice it stopped down here. If I go and open up my log file, bingo, there it is, and I can continue to do that. Now I could make this a little bit better, so this script would run continuously and not just exit out, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But you could have one of these running in the background, keep an tabs on your processes or your services. Okay, that is a do while script. Those are two of those. The next one I want to show you is called a for each loop. A for each loop is used to process through a collection, and that bears a little bit of an explanation. Notice a while ago I told you that when you run this command, get child item, and went to a directory, it would get everything in that directory. I'm going to run it, and it would list it out like so. And I told you, I didn't tell you quite the whole story. I said, well, that's, for all intents and purposes, nothing more than an array. Well, it's not really an array. It's like an array, but it's technically called a collection. A collection is a fancy term for an array that is automatically created by the operating system. Let me copy this and just illustrate that real quick down here. And I'm going to place that into $ARR. Oh, how about $COLL? Okay, we'll run this. Yeah. Okay. Oops, did I run that? That's what I want to do. Okay, so if I go echo out this call like so, lists it all, and if I want to pick one of those, I can go $COLL and pick an index number, say 4, like that, and run that piece. It'll show me what's in position 4 in that collection. Okay, so that's what a collection is. It's like an array, but it's stuff that the operating system created for all intents and purposes. I'll eliminate that and go back over here. So what this does is we go to get child item, go to AAA, and we drop it into a collection called call items. That's a particularly normal name for collections of items. And what we're going to do is we use the for each loop to loop through the collection of items. So we've got another variable in there called objitem to represent each element of that collection. And what we do is we go through them one by one, and then we write to the host the name and the objitem's full name, its length, creation date, date last accessed, date of last change to the file, and the attributes. Now we could write it out to the host, or if we wanted to, we could also do that to a log file. So I'll go ahead and run this. Yes. And you're seeing a whole bunch of files. So here we go, is the name of this particular file here, and the file size, date created, date last access, and archive. This is a very powerful data structure. It allows us again to go through a collection of items. So you could do any of a number of things and find out information about any kind of thing, not just get child item. You can use this with get process, get service, or anything like that to find out information and create a report about those things. Really cool type of script. Okay, let's go here, and this is a little bit out of order, but I created a ping sweep application here, and it uses a for loop. Okay, basically what I did is I took my basic for loop, which just incremented a bunch of numbers, but with this ping sweep, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start $i as 1, and I'm going to increment it all the way up to the number 255, and what this means is I'm going to increment it 1 at a time. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 255. Then I'm going to, so when I do that, I'm going to run test connection 10.0.16.i, or $i, which will place a 1 the first time it goes through, a 2 the next time, and what this count switch does, what this count switch does, it only sends 1 ping packet. I could make it 2, but I just wanted to make this thing shorter. The last thing that you need to look at in this script is error action preference is equal to silently continue. Basically that prevents the errors from being echoed onto the screen. If you run that without this particular line in there, you'll see all the error messages every time the PowerShell tries to test the connection to a host that isn't running. So I don't want to look at it. I just want to see the hosts that are running on screen. So let me run it. And this one's a little slow. It's going to take a little bit, but it should show 10.0.16.1, 10.0.16.6, and 10.0.16.7. I'm not sure what other hosts I have on it, but there I have a real simple ping sweep utility in PowerShell. 2 lines, very sweet. So you can see that the source, this is my computer that I'm running from it, Enterprise I, and these are the destinations that replied. It's continuing to operate. It'll go all the way up to 255, and eventually, I don't think there are any other ones. There might be some other ones on here, but not very many, and it should show those. So that's your introduction to loops. I'm going to go ahead and post this, and you can take a loop at it at your leisure and write these things. They are really, really powerful. We can do things like with a loop I can create 1,000 users with all of their properties set up simply by using a loop, or 1,000 text files, or 10,000 folders, whatever I want to do. That is the power of loops.